Ghost of Tsushima isn't just another open world game, it's a thunderous elegy to a dying era. A visual poem soaked in blood and beauty, where every duel is a dance and every choice carves deeper into your soul. This isn't just about slashing enemies or taking off quests, it's about the weight of tradition, the cost of freedom, and the spirit of a warrior caught between duty and defiance. In this review, we're going beyond the surface. We'll cut through the wind and fog to explore what makes Ghost of Tsushima more than just a game, and why it still echoes long after the final blow is struck. At the heart of Ghost of Tsushima lies a story not just about vengeance or war, but about identity. You don't just play as Jin Sakai, you become him. A samurai raised in strict honor, bound by the code of Bushido, suddenly forced to face a brutal truth, that honor alone won't save his people. The Mongol invasion of Tsushima isn't just a historical backdrop, it's a tidal wave of fire and steel, drowning an entire culture in fear. And as the island burns, so too does the line between right and wrong. Tradition begins to crack, the sword of the samurai, once proud and ceremonial, becomes a ghost blade, silent, swift, and merciless. Jin's transformation is painful, poetic, and beautifully told. Every encounter with the enemy, every hushed betrayal, every loss, it all chips away at the man he once was, forging something new in its place. A legend born not out of pride, but necessity. But it's not just the narrative that grips you, it's the world itself. Tsushima is not a map full of waypoints, it's a living painting, one that breathes with every gust of wind and rustle of leaves. The environment doesn't ask you to explore, it guides you. Plume of smoke in the distance, a fox darting through the bush, a golden bird gliding toward the unknown. Exploration here isn't driven by a checklist, it's driven by curiosity and wonder. The island shifts from serene to savage in moments. One second you're writing a haiku beside a quiet lake reflecting on loss. The next you're clashing blades under a crimson sunset, blood mingling with the falling leaves. It's a contrast that never stops hitting you. Beauty and brutality locked in an eternal duel. And through it all, the music swells like a whisper from the past, melancholic, proud, and haunting. Every note a reminder, this is a land worth fighting for, this is a legacy worth remembering. Combat in Ghost of Tsushima isn't just gameplay, it's a conversation between steel and silence. Every fight is a test, not of how many buttons you can press, but of how well you can read your enemy, control your breath, and embrace the storm within. Jin's blade isn't flashy, it doesn't rely on spectacle, it relies on precision. A single strike can end a life, and that's exactly how it should feel. Whether you're facing a Mongol brute or a rogue Ronin, the tension builds with each step, each stare, until, boom, the first blow is thrown. What follows is a deadly dance of stances, parries, and perfectly timed counters. Standoffs are a moment of pure cinematic brilliance. Time slows, wind sways, two warriors silent and unflinching until, in a flash, one falls. These aren't just duels, they're declarations, and with every encounter the game reminds you, honor has a cost and hesitation can be fatal. But when honor isn't enough, when the odds are too great and the shadows are your only allies, that's when the ghost emerges. Stealth in Ghost of Tsushima is a stark contrast to the samurai's code, and that contrast is the point. Sneaking through enemy camps and striking from the dark, you make fear itself your weapon. These tactics feel empowering, but never without consequence. The more you rely on them, the further Jin strays from the man he was, and the game makes you feel that. But it's not just about combat, the gameplay shines in its pacing, its balance. There's a quiet rhythm to everything you do, guiding the wind to your next objective. Practicing sword strikes under cherry blossoms, writing poetry on mountain peaks, it all builds towards something deeper, a sense of presence, of being part of this world, not just playing it. Even side quests, so often forgettable in other games, carry emotional weight here. Tales of love, vengeance, betrayal, and tradition unfold like chapters in an epic, each one adding layers to Jin's journey and to the soul of Tsushima itself. These are rare elegance in how the game respects your time without overwhelming it. You're never lost in clutter, you're never forced into repetition. Everything feels plays with intent, like brushstrokes on parchment. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't try to reinvent open world gameplay, it refines it. It trims the excess and amplifies the meaning. And in doing so, it delivers something that feels both familiar and rare. A game where action and emotion are one and the same. Combat in Ghost of Tsushima is not chaos, it's clarity. There's no clutter here, no flashing indicators or bloated combos. It's just you, your blade, and the weight of every decision. It's surgical, it's stripped down and pure. A return to the fundamentals of violence where every strike means something. When your sword meets flesh, it doesn't just cut it, it speaks. At first glance you might think it's stylish, graceful even, but then the reality sets in. This isn't style for show, it's survival. You're not carving through faceless enemies, you're defending your home, your people, your legacy. And it makes you feel that gravity with every duel, every parry, every death stare before the first blow. There's an art to each stance: stone, water, wind, and moon, each one forced to answer a specific threat. Switching between them mid-fight becomes instinctive, almost meditative, like a master adjusting his brush mid-stroke to complete the painting. Spears, shields, brutes, swordsmen, none can be faced the same. They demand respect, they demand understanding, and they demand you to grow as a player. And then there are duels, the true test of will and precision. They're stripped of distractions, they're just one-on-one. Two warriors in a sacred ring of death, often framed beneath a storm, a cascade of leaves, or a sea of fire. No tricks, no allies, just skill. These are not boss fights, they're rituals, they're cinematic and intimate, and they can be brutal. A clash of philosophies as much as a clash of swords. But combat isn't only about the blade. The tools of the ghost bring versatility and fear into the fight. You have the kunai to interrupt, you got smoke bombs to vanish, sticky bombs to scatter enemies like falling ash. Each tool is a reminder that Jin is evolving, blending the discipline of the samurai with the cunning of something far more unpredictable. And the game never lets you forget the cost of that evolution. Every time you stab a man in the back, every time you strike from the shadows, you can feel the ghost pulling Jin further away from the path of honor. There's no morality meter, no game over penalty, just the quiet disappointment in Lord Shimura's eyes. Just a memory of who you used to be, or fighting to remember who you are. That's the genius of Ghost of Tsushima's combat. It doesn't just test your reflexes, it tests your conviction. And through it all, the clashing steel, the blood on your hands, the calm after the storm, one truth remains. You're not fighting to win, you're fighting to remember who you are. There are games that aim for realism, and then there's Ghost of Tsushima, a game that dares to aim for beauty. When the very first step onto Tsushima's soil becomes clear, this world wasn't just built, it was composed. Every blade of grass, every drifting petal, every sliver of light piercing through the trees, it all serves a greater vision. This isn't just about fidelity, it's about feeling, about mood, about crafting a world that moves with emotion. The island of Tsushima is alive, but not in the way we've come to expect from open world games. It doesn't scream for your attention with flashing icons or noisy clutter. Instead it whispers. A gust of wind guides your path. A fox darts through the bush, leading you toward a hidden shrine. A bird seen in the distance and you follow, not because the quest told you to, but because something in your gut tells you there's something worth discovering. What you find is art in motion. Fields of golden pampas grass sway endlessly under the breath of the wind. The dense bamboo forest stands with shadows. Snow-capped mountains glisten beneath pale moonlight. The skies burn with color. Crimson reds at dusk, misty blues at dawn. Every hour of the day paints the island in a different emotional palette. But it's the subtlety that elevates it. The ash falling from a ruined village, the way leaves spiral around you during a duel, the slow bloom of a sunrise as you crest a hill on horseback. These aren't just visual flourishes, they're narrative brushstrokes. They reflect the emotional state of the world and of Jin himself. Even the UI dissolves into the background, letting the art speak uninterrupted. No clutter, no noise, just pure, uninterrupted atmosphere. The game trusts you to find your way, and in doing so, pulls you deeper into its rhythm. And it's not just the environments, it's the characters, the costumes, the armor. Every thread feels worn, lived in, authentic. Every village tells a story, every battlefield holds a memory. This is a world shaped by war, yes, but also by culture, by spirit, and by quiet beauty. In the end, Ghost of Tsushima doesn't chase hyperrealism, it chases emotion through imagery, and it catches it effortlessly. The visuals of Ghost of Tsushima are a painting, and the sound is its soul. Every rustle of wind through the grass, every creak of worn leather as Jin dismounts his horse, every distant cry of an eagle overhead. It's all intentional, nothing is wasted. The island doesn't just look alive, it sounds alive, it breathes. Swords don't clash, they sing. The metallic hiss of a blade leaving its sheath before a duel feels sacred, like the start of a ritual. The grunt of exertion, the impact of steel cutting through flesh, the sudden silence after the last enemy falls. falls. These aren't just sound effects, they are punctuation marks in a deadly poem. Then there's the music. Shimmering strings, slow, mournful flutes, deep thunderous drums that roll in like a storm. The score doesn't just accompany the journey, it understands it. When you ride beneath a burning sky, the music swells like memory. When you grieve at a gravesite, it pulls back, leaving space for silence. It knows when to rise and when to let the wind speak instead. Each note carries weight, tradition, sorrow, and pride. And as Jin drifts further from who he was, the music follows, changing, evolving, always echoing his inner conflict. It's not just atmosphere, it's storytelling. A quiet, invisible thread that ties everything together. Because on Tsushima, even the silence means something. In Ghost of Tsushima, the villains aren't just obstacles, they are shadows cast across the soul of the island, reflections of what Jim could become if he lost himself to power, fear, and ambition. Khotun Khan, the central antagonist, is not the typical brute force you expect in a tale of conquest. He's calculated, charismatic, patient. He doesn't just conquer with fire and steel, he dismantles identities. He studies his enemies, speaks their language, twists their values. In many ways, he fights the same war Jin does, not on the battlefield, but in the mind. Khotun doesn't scream to assert dominance, he whispers, he tempts. He understands that to truly defeat a people, you must break what they believe in. And as Jin slowly lets go of tradition in order to protect what remains, the line between them narrows, dangerously so. Then there are personal enemies, the betrayals from within. Ryuzo, once a brother in arms, now a mirror of what desperation can do to a man with no path left. His story hurts, not because he turns against you, but because you understand why he does it. You feel the weight of every shared memory turned into a blade between the ribs. The villains in Ghost of Tsushima are never cartoonish. They're not evil for evil's sake. They're human, they're tragic, inevitable. They stand on the other side of choices you might have made had the wind blown a little differently. And that's what makes them unforgettable, because in a land where honor is fading and survival demands sacrifice, sometimes the enemy doesn't look like a monster, sometimes he looks like you. Ghost of Tsushima is more than a game, it's a journey etched in wind and steel, silence and sacrifice. It doesn't just tell a story, it immerses you in one, pulling you through fire, through beauty, through the heartache of a man caught between who he was and who he must become. Every part of this experience, from the visceral combat to the sweeping landscapes, from the quiet moments beneath cherry trees to the haunting tension of each duel, works in harmony. There are no wasted frames, no empty sounds, just a world that feels alive and a legend that feels earned. It's not perfect, but like the samurai it honors, it doesn't need to be. What matters is its spirit, and that spirit lingers long after the final battle, long after the credits roll. Because Ghost of Tsushima isn't about saving an island, it's about what we hold on to when everything else is falling apart. Honor, love, and memory, and the quiet strength it takes to become a ghost. Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please leave a like and a comment and subscribe if y'all really enjoyed it. I decided to do this review because Ghost of Yote is coming out pretty soon, and I want y'all to, if y'all have any doubts or whatever, or you've never played Ghost of Tsushima and if you're wondering it's worth playing it, I made a video kind of like talking about it, and if you made it to the end of the video, then you know that it is definitely worth playing the game. So yeah, I guess I'll catch y'all later. Take it easy and don't do anything I wouldn't do.